There's the sound. Hello, everybody. I think I have the theme music on this time and everything, so yay, go me. So today I'm working more on the scatter for my underwater plane, the plane of water. And as you can see, I have built, from yesterday, I have built more of the terrain scatter pieces out of the foam insulation and glued them all together in stacked stones. I had a triangular format as well, but I liked this one better, and I did keep some of the triangle pieces, well, triangular pieces, just for rocks, miscellaneous rocks on the ocean floor. But I went ahead and painted a couple of them just to see what it would look like. This is using Mod Podge that I have watered down a little bit and added black paint to, which turns out kind of grayish because the Mod Podge itself is white. I've done a couple of them, and I like the way it turns out. I was able to keep that texture that we used the wire brush. Where's that wire brush? I had to rearrange everything, so now it's buried. Oh, here it is. I just used a wire brush. You can get a set of 3 of these in various strengths at your local discount department store. So anyway, I like the way the paint worked. I may have to put another layer on because you can kind of still see the pinkish hue and some of the writing here. So there may have to be another layer of that. So we're going to paint these today and maybe add some shells to it, pieces of shells. Maybe not these giant ones, because compared to a D&D figure, these are very large. But maybe we could cut off part of that and bury that in, or I don't know, we'll see. I also have these pieces of shells that are just various colors. I like the blue, but you know what? We have so many colors in the foliage that I purchased. So we may not need to have these shells on there. Maybe the natural shells we'll put on there, the natural looking ones. We'll see. We'll see how it looks. And maybe the point may be moot, as it has enough color really to begin with. So let's just get painting and hang out and relax and chill. It's earlier today than it was yesterday, but mostly because D&D with the Banana Brothers is tonight at 8 East. And so I want to make sure I'm ready for that and have all the cameras set up for that. They are actually heading into the plane of Earth tonight. And we'll see what happens then. This is not turning out... I probably should have given that bottle a shake. I did these earlier, but I don't know why it's looking so much grayer than the other. It does dry darker, so that might be what it is. Move this out of the way. So during the day, while the kids are at school, when I say at school, they're just upstairs in the room that we've designated the schoolroom. I thought I craft anyway, so I might as well just stream it and then post it afterward to YouTube. And if anyone wants to join me and ask questions or just hang out and chit chat, I do have chat up. If you say something and I don't respond right away, if you're a mod, type in !2 and that'll get my attention. Sir Mimsy will. I did fix that. You can now hear his voice back on the stream. He will say, I think he'll go, "Woo!" and get my attention. I had mentioned yesterday, I think I was chatting with Rylan during the stream, that I might do another segment. I'm thinking about it, called Qyjari Games, and maybe try to do some survival games. See how long I'll last. And I was thinking Ark, but the game kind of terrifies me. I don't think I'd do Genesis. I think that would be too difficult for me solo. I see some of the more professional YouTubers playing it, and they struggle, and they are 100 times better than I am. I would just probably stay on the on the shore and build a hut as quickly as I can and just sort of hide, which is not an exciting gameplay. But I do like the original ARK. Crow and I played, oh gosh, 4 years ago, and enjoyed that. I'd start all over again, of course, and see how long I'd last. The stream would be, what, 3-4 minutes? Pretty much the login time. I don't know. We'll see. It was just an idea I had. We'll see how it goes. I really enjoy watching some of the game playthroughs while I'm crafting. And so that's sort of gotten me inspired to try it myself. But like I said, we'll see what happens. I might just pop on and play without any kind of an announcement, just to see how I fare. I did water this down a bit just to preserve the texturing that I put on the edge here of each of the stacked stones. I wanted that wire brush texture to show through. I had a feeling that if I put the full strength of the Mod Podge on, it would essentially fill those gaps made by the wire brush, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted that rough texture on the edge there. Yesterday also I mentioned that, or someone mentioned in chat, I should put some ruins in the terrain for the plane of water. And I thought about it, and I had some pieces that I haven't painted yet. In fact, I'll grab those here. I haven't painted these yet. These are, I was going to make walls out of these, just miscellaneous dungeon walls or farmhouse walls or whatever. But I think they're too neat right now. I'd have to rough them up to make them look truly like ruins. And then I remembered that I have a set of scatter that I used for a temple terrain piece, and I brought that over, but let me just put this down and get this off my arm since I painted myself. And it looks like this, and I thought that would look nice under the water. This is a ramp or a stair case, and here's a pillar. I think those would look good underwater, sort of maybe laying sideways, like it turned over temple or something. I don't know. But I did like the coloring. It's more natural for underwater, so maybe I'll use these. Depends on how big I make the terrain. For viewing on the stream, I have discovered that the best size, for me at least, for my terrain bases is 30 inches by 20 inches. The table I have set aside for the camera views for the map, the battle maps, excuse me, is large, but I have to use part of the table for the mobs, the any other scatter, any other additions, some of the spell effects, etc. So I only use about 30 inches by 20 inches for the terrain base. I have made them smaller, but then I discover that a lot of my terrain scatter won't fit nicely on the smaller pieces. So 30 by 20 is the best size. The other thing is my backgrounds. If you watch the Banana Brothers at all, you'll see on the backgrounds there is a image, and you can see some of those on my Twitter account. Some of the pictures I've shown of behind the scenes. You can see that I use black foam board on L brackets, and then I attach using clothespins terrainscapes, background images that I find on Google background images for whatever it is, and those are I have two that are 30 inches and two that are 20 inches. And then I just tape, or not, I clothespin, because I don't want to ruin the picture, those onto those backgrounds to be the sort of the farscape of the terrain. It's just having the wall in the background show, so then it appears that the pieces are set in a deep forest or jungle or a cave, and I just reuse those as needed, and it just seems to work out the best for the game, the stream that I have. And the maps. Although this last time, they were in the plane of fire, and I used a green screen and had the background look like a star field. I found a star field on YouTube that I played over the green screen, and that worked out great. It looked like they were literally flying on a plane of fire, around plane of fire island in the middle of a void area. And that's also kind of cool for the dungeon master, because then they don't have to worry about the players going anywhere outside the map space. Because falling off the edge of that would not fare them well. I forgot to play my music yesterday. Qyjari's theme. Let me make sure it's playing now. I think it is. Yeah. I keep 2 bottles of Mod Podge going at all times. The white, of course, and then this one that has the black paint mixed in with it. I find that giving my terrain pieces a coat of Mod Podge helps preserve the pieces, as well as kind of gets into the nooks and crannies and fills in, gets rid of that pink, and then I can paint over them any color. Carving them or giving them some texture first, though, is important, because if you try to give it texture afterward, you're going to see that pink again. I understand there's a blue. I always buy this brand. It's the least expensive and most available at my local hardware store, and they cut it down for me from a 4'8" piece down into 4'2" sections, and I find it the easiest to work with. It works well on my Proxon as well. I didn't use my Proxon for this because I wanted the edges to be like they are here, rough and not smooth, but I do use the Proxon for quite a bit. I do use it to cut large pieces down to smaller pieces that I can better carve myself, but for the small intricate pieces here, I just used a box cutter. There we go. These may need a second coat. Like I said, you can see the pink coming through on some of the pieces that are already somewhat dry back here. But that's fine. They're not going to Banana Brothers are not going to be in the plane of water anytime soon. First, they have to survive the plane of Earth, which they will be in tonight. I did finish the Atropal? I don't know how it's pronounced. Finished that yesterday, and it's dried and ready to go. He looks horrific. I homebrewed parts of him. So Banana Brothers, if you're watching, don't expect your traditional Atropal. And I think I said he was from Waterdeep yesterday, but he is not. I looked again, and he is from, oh boy, now I've forgotten. Tomb of Annihilation. So if you have that book, you'll see which one I'm talking about, or D&D Beyond, if you have that accessible. Sort of gave him a greenish umbilical cord. Yeah, it's really creepy. He's really creepy looking. I gave him some orange splotches. And we'll see. We'll see if they survive. They've got to survive tonight to get to the plane of water. Otherwise, this terrain is all for naught. They're overpowered. Seems like they always get the best of me as the dungeon master. I put together these encounters through the D&D Beyond website, and I always end up throwing so much in there that the warning says danger, like flashing red danger, and they still walk right through it. I need to up my game, up the deadliness. I did this time though. I really wonder if they're gonna survive tonight. And it's not like they pre-plan. They know they're going into the plane of fire. They did last time. And they knew that they were probably up against something big, but did they go shopping? No. Did they go get more potions? No. Or any kind of fire resistant stuff? No, they didn't. They just said, let's go. And they still managed to defeat the two horned devils. And the Larifex. I threw Larifex in there too. I gotta up my game. I gotta up my game, chat. Typically, I don't stream my crafting streams until later in the afternoons. But again, I have Banana Brothers tonight, so I like to make sure my work area is clean and organized, so I don't stress out about that. The map's already set up over there to my left, but I gotta put the camera back over there and make sure all the settings are correct. So I didn't want to wait until too late. There are only 7 more Banana Brothers this year. I am taking all but the 1st of December off for the holidays. So 7 more sessions left, and then we'll pick up again in January or February. I haven't decided yet whether we are going to continue with the Banana Brothers as is, or if we're going to start a new, completely new campaign. We'll see what happens at the end of this one. There's still a lot of story I want to tell, so my gut feeling is that we're going to continue with our 4 intrepid adventurers. Oops, let's not get this. My fingers are all oogie. tip for anyone who wants to get into this craft, this paint cloth I have here that I use is actually a very inexpensive tablecloth. I just got the largest rectangular size that you can buy, and I just cut it into manageable strips, because I find that once I finish a project and it needs to dry, then I can pick up the entire tablecloth. I put another cutting pad below it to give it some strength and support, but you could use a piece of cardboard. And then I take it over to the floor in front of me where a fan is going, and then it clears my work surface off, and I can just get another drop cloth. And they're very inexpensive and thick, and they have a flannel background on them, or backing on them. So they're very sturdy. I can get about the large rectangular tablecloths. Someone say ooh. Did I miss it? Ooh. Oh, thank you for the follow, Nick Lynn. Thank you so much. I thought I heard Sir Mimsy say ooh. But I think the tablecloth size is 54 by 102 or something like that, and then I can get, oh, I don't know, 8 of these small work surfaces out of that. Very handy to have for small projects like these. So I was going to paint these similar to what I did with the scatter I made for caves, which is essentially this gray Mod Podge coating, and then highlighted with a little bit of dark gray and black, and then given a dry brushing with a light gray. But I think I want to do a dry brushing with a light blue, just to give it that underwater bluishness to it, just to help out with the look that it is underwater. Maybe a blue-green, a teal, or aqua. Makes sense. Aqua. I get it. I'm just talking to myself. I crack myself up. You can see underneath I used an old terrain that I cut up. That isn't what it typically looks like underneath it. That's what it looks like, the piece of insulation. But I used an old terrain that I had kind of chopped it up to make something else. So I've recycled it into bases here, and of course that part really won't be shown. I haven't tested out my light. I have a light I purchased at my local discount department store. And it's one of those decor lights for Halloween. And I've had one for a while that's sort of a reddish orangey color. But this one is more blue and purpley. And I thought it would, if I shined it or put it overhead onto this map, once I get the base done, that it would give the impression of being underwater. There's a trick in theater that they use to make it look like someone is sitting at the edge of a dock without actually having water on the set. Well, a lot of water, because there is a small trough of water that they shine a light into, or somehow. I'd have to look it up. It's been a while. I haven't done theater in a long time. And it gives you that impression of sort of water that's been moving water. Sort of like looking into a pool. It's essentially a trough that they place in front of the stage and then shine lights either into it or up from it. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up. I could do that, or I could try this Halloween decor light that's supposed to shine, you know, like on your house, and see if that works. Give the impression of them being underwater. They haven't even gone to get underwater breathing potions or anything, although I think Daros, our druid, has some sort of underwater breathing that's not concentration that he can cast, so that'll help. It'll be interesting when they go to the plane of air, because I believe only 3 of them have flying, so I don't know what the 4th one's going to do. And one of them only has flying because he can turn into a giant owl through a magical item. And he may not be able to swing a cleaver or a weapon in owl form, so I don't know if that'll work for him the entire time. We'll see. We'll see what happens when they go into the plane of air. I think that'll be last. We'll see, because I haven't finished the terrain yet. Like I mentioned yesterday, that terrain is probably going to be floating islands, or someone mentioned having like a parkour type of situation. Ooh, that would be good. What about an island that they can stay on for a certain amount of time, but then after a while it disappears? Sort of like there's a map on, I think, Destiny 2 that you have to parkour to get over a certain part, and the islands that appear slowly fade and then reappear, and if your timing's not right, you fall to your death. So that would be a fun parkour puzzle scenario to put them in. I like that. Someone remind me of that when they go to the plane of air. And don't tell them. Shh. It's a secret. I really enjoyed this whole process of terrain scatter. I used to make terrain that was 3-dimensional, but 2 things were wrong with that, in my opinion. The one is, once you attach scatter permanently to a base, that's it. You'll have to just, whatever your scenario calls for, it's going to have that terrain, that background, that scene on your base, or you don't use it again. The biggest example of that was my Shademerg, which was a giant mushroom forested village. If you want to watch how that was done, there's several steps of that available on YouTube. And the second thing is, when it's permanently attached, storage is a problem. Your terrain bases won't stack. So I have found it much easier to create a flat base, or flat-ish. Some bases have bits of greenery or something on it, flat greenery like moss on it, but they essentially store flat. And then adding scatter to it, and you can place it in anywhere you want it. You don't have to worry about having the same exact look to all your maps every time. So I don't know if anyone knows this, but that shade merc terrain, I haven't taken all the mushrooms off completely, but I have taken the caps off the mushrooms. So now that, excuse me, now that looks like, the base looks like it could be a forest with tree trunks on it. Or you could add the caps back on and have a giant mushroom area again. So I found that worked best. The other piece I haven't used in a long time is the inn, the Crow's Nest Inn and Tavern that was featured in an article on Geek and Sundry a couple years ago. And I haven't used it in a while. It needs a little bit of repair. I did not use my method with the rocks and siding on it. It was one of my first builds, and I used cardboard and real rocks. And they need a little bit of upkeep, so one day I'll get back to that. I did take the Raven's Pride apart, which is one of the original ships I built, again, before I was able to learn this wood foam and wood stone method. And I made it out of cardboard and essentially popsicle sticks. Really craft sticks. They're a little thinner. And I have since made a styrofoam wood looking ship. Again, that's probably another one that's available on YouTube. I can't remember. I think I posted it there if you want to see how that was built. So I took the Raven's Pride apart, and I actually got to use bits of it for flooring for other scatter that I've built. And I haven't done crafting streams in so long that some of those new builds are not available on YouTube, but if you watch Banana Brothers, you can see the maps. There's a farm. Recently they were in the city of Greymouth Point, and the town there. I used some of the pieces from that old ship as flooring. Worked out great. Recycle, right? That's what it's all about. Okay, well, I'm getting messy here. Oops, missed a whole spot there. If you have suggestions for D&D terrain that you'd like to see me try, let me know, either in chat right now or if you're watching on YouTube in the comments below. Always looking for new ideas. I'm actually in the middle of creating halfling houses in case our party decides to go to our halfling town of Granlin. Not halfling, I'm sorry, gnome. The halfling town is, well, that's a long story. But Granlin is home to the gnomes in my world of Amon-Rath. And I decided that their houses should be mostly stone, which is different from me. I tend to make half stone, like the bases, some stone, and then do stucco looking pieces the rest of the way with wood. But I wanted to do some pieces that were, some little houses that were all stone. And I do need to add, at least maybe make it removable, some gears and other clockwork pieces to it, like a steampunk, because Granlin is home to the gnomes, and they definitely have a steampunk vibe in that city. That's where the only dirigibles in my world are made and operated. I think there's only 2 in my world, so they're pretty rare. When I get done painting this piece and those 2 little rocks over there, I will show you the structures that I'm working on for that. It's taking a little bit longer because I'm having to hand carve the stone on all sides of the building. But like I said, my banana brothers don't have any plans yet to go to Granlin, or for Beaufort, who is from Granlin, to go back there. He has been summoned there. But they have to complete the planar challenges first, so they have access to the ley line travel. If none of this makes any sense, check out the Banana Brothers on YouTube. The YouTube link should be below. If not, it's easy to find. It's Qyjari. YouTube/Qyjari. And you can see the shenanigans that they are up to every week. We are on the 3rd arc of the story, and they are level 10, almost 11. We do milestone leveling, so when they hit a new milestone in my world, it's a homebrew world, they tend to level up. Of course, I think 2 of them are multi-classing, and one of them has multi-classed into 3 different classes. Our bard is a bard, sorcerer, warlock. I don't know how he keeps track of all those abilities and spells, because I certainly wouldn't be able to. Okay, so these are painted, at least the first coat. Let me get this Mod Podge off my hands, and I will show you these other little houses in the last 5 minutes of the episode, today's episode. I don't jiggle the camera. So these were a little trickier to build. Actually, let me... Oh, I said I was going to put some of those shells on, but these aren't going to be dry enough, and I do want to do a second coat, so we'll have to do the shells another day. Tuck these aside, and there we go. So I've got these cut out, and what I had to do, and I did use my Proxon for this, is I had to take a typical piece, which is a 1/2 inch thick, and split it down the center using, I do have a side bar on the Proxon to keep it even, but I just wanted to make some stone buildings for Granlin, and as you can see here, I've got some more ready to go. I've already marked sides that X means, and T means top. X means don't carve that side. So I've got these to go. I was gonna make 4. Seemed like a good amount. Maybe I'll do a well or some unique building. But this will be the city of Granlin one day when I get to that. And these are today's goal, was to get these painted, and I'm so happy with the way they've turned out. Like I said, I do want to do something similar to the cave scatter, which looks like this. But as you can see, this has, well, actually this does have a little bit of blue on it. Probably I'll do a different blue. Just give it a dry brushing with some blue on it instead of the gray. You can see some of the, need to touch that up, you can see some of the pink through that. On this piece, and for the other cave pieces, I did use cheesecloth. So you can see here, there's just cloth covering that out, and that's because I wanted that rougher texture of a cave wall. So anyway, thank you all so much for joining me, and I will have more tomorrow, I think, probably earlier in the day, and we'll see you next time.